A very good morning. You're joining us here on Melt. I'm Ritwika Gupta. The disruptions caused by the COVID 19 crisis have gravely impacted many restaurant operators in India. It has led to a trickle down effect on the food supply chain, affecting all aspects of the hospitality business. As lockdown restrictions loosen, what does the future of eating out look like in India? Anant Rangaswami, editor of Melt, takes the discussion forward with Anurag Katriar, president of the National Restaurants Association of India and executive director and CEO of deGustibus Hospitality. Let's get ready to melt with Anurag Katriar.
Anurag, good morning.
Good morning, Anant. How are you?
Very good, Anurag. So, the reason I wanted to talk to you is the restaurant and hotel and restaurant business directly and indirectly impacts hundreds of other categories without realizing it.
Yes.
For example, let us say all the soft drink companies are affected with the hotels. All the alcohol companies are affected. Even somebody who makes tomato ketchup is affected. Mustard is affected.
Farmers are impacted.
Farmers are impacted. So now tell me, what are your headlines as of today? The changes in the lockdown, who are those who are affected and how are you interacting with them at the moment?
So I'll tell you what, everybody is impacted. The whole sector is impacted. Other than the 7.3 million people who are directly employed with us, as you rightly said, there are so many people who feed indirectly off the industry. And this could be transporters to farmers to dairy milk producer to anything, an alcohol beverage company. And I think what we have done is, I think the line I have taken is, guys, we need to all come together, put in our collective strengths together to make sure that the sector survives. It's not going to be the same again anytime soon. This is not going to change overnight. Pandemic is may go in a few months, but its impact will remain for quite some months to come.
Right. Now, tell me the impact of what you've seen in the last 4 or 5 months on the consumer. What consumer change are you seeing? Will they visit restaurants less later or will it come back to normal once, for example, in Delhi right now, you're experiencing it. Restaurants and hotels are open. They're allowed to serve alcohol. So I guess that is fresh in your experience. So what was
No, in fact, this is a complete misnomer. Nobody is allowed to serve alcohol right now in Delhi.
Right.
There was an internal memo of the Deputy CM of Delhi, which was circulated very widely on social media yesterday. It was a proposal to the Excise Department to explore the possibility. There is no permission yet.
Right.
But to come back to your core question of how the consumption is going, it is very, very subdued right now. I think on an average, we are looking at about 25-30% of the pre-COVID numbers right now in the cities that we have opened. And as far as consumers are concerned, I see two huge problems with them. One is, of course, that, the scare of COVID is still in the air. Is it safe for me to go out? Is it worth the risk of stepping out? This is one reason. The other reason also is there is lesser disposable incomes in the hands of people across sectors. Whether you are an entrepreneur, whether you are an engineer, whether you are anyone. If people have not lost jobs, their salaries have definitely gone down. So, when that happens, then any business that survives on discretionary expenses will suffer. And we are surely one of them. So, these are two big factors. And dare I say, I can see a third one, which is the changing habits of people. Now, there is a bunch of home chefs in every house. Everybody's baking, everybody's cooking. And imagine if there is a little change in the consumption pattern and 10, 15, 20% of consumption at the restaurants get reduced, it can be very, very massive for the trade overall.
Right. So what about, like in Bombay, while restaurants are not open, deliveries are allowed. So are the delivery businesses helping you to sort of stay afloat at this moment?
Uh, Not exactly.
Right.
I think this is the biggest misnomer that a delivery can become the mainstream for a restaurant. It
Right.
can never. It can never. Because the cost structures of restaurants are such that deliveries will never matter. To give you the things in proper number perspective, Delivery typically forms about 10 to 15% of a good restaurant's total revenue. And today, restaurants are doing somewhere around 25-30% of the pre-COVID delivery numbers, which essentially means with restaurants being shut for dine-in, you're talking about 5% of the pre-COVID numbers being realized. And somebody may jump that, oh, we saw 30% jump over last week, but that's like five becoming 6.5%.
Right.
So no, it is not helping. In fact, there is another problem with our trade. There is the proportion of fixed operating expenses in our business is very high, and with such subdued volumes of consumption, in fact, it gives you there are higher losses for us.
Right. So tell me, you were talking about your key stakeholders, uh, being proposed by you to come together to help this industry. So what are they doing? For example, the cola majors, or whether it's the alcohol companies, how are they helping you navigate this difficult time?
So I'll tell you, it's not about how the business will pick up with them right now, but I must say, a couple of alcohol companies and a company like Pepsi has come forward and offered us some massive financial aid to support the people in the fraternity. So we ran a program called Rise for Bars, where Beam Suntory and Pernod Ricard came up with some substantial contribution, which actually helped us transfer 5,000 rupees into the accounts of thousands of bar workers. Similarly, with Pepsi, we came up with a plan which is almost at the completion now, where we are distributing ration kits for a family for a month to about 5-6 thousand families. So, when I was talking about the stakeholders in the trade, I was not only talking about these what I call channel partners. I was talking of people like the government of India, the various state governments, the aggregators, the landlords, and the employees. We all are stakeholders in the trade along with our consumers. We need to come together with a very simple single line objective. How do we save the sector? Because if the sector survives, we all survive.
So, Anurag, tell me, what is the support you're getting from various of your critical stakeholders, which is the central government, the state government, city governments, and of course from your landlords?
So let me take one by one. As far as the central government is concerned, our initial demand was around making sure that we get deferments on all our statutory payments, whether it was TDS, GST, blah, 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 so that we have necessary cash flow with us to take care of more what I call critical human needs. Having said that, the next round of demand that we had was twofolds. One was liquidity support, wherein we wanted some easy working capital being made available to us at good terms. And second was policy support, where largely it was around restoring input tax credit on GST and a better e-commerce policy going forward. We have had several meetings with stakeholders. I had two meetings with the Honorable Finance Minister. We had meetings with the Niti Aayog chief and lot many bureaucrats. Things are moving. In fact, one of our initial demands of using the ESIC coffers to partially compensate the people who have lost their jobs or who are in bad shape right now, I understand has been agreed upon yesterday. I just saw the news article today. So that's how it is working. With the state government, the biggest thing was about the state excise. Now we have various states have different rules, but what essentially we said is the period when we are non-operational, please give us rebate on the excise license fee. In fact, in states like Maharashtra, we have made a request to the government to extend the tenure of our license till the end of March 2021, which is under consideration. But again, on the cash flow perspective, pretty much every state gave us deferment on the payment of that. With the landlords, it's a bit of a tricky story. So I'll put it in two different brackets. One is what I call organized landlords like malls. There, I think some of them have come up with some acceptable offers or close to acceptable offers, uh, and some are just not bothered about it. So in my view, we are reaching uh, uh, kind of a consensus soon with most of the large players, whether it is a DLF or a Phoenix or people like that. I think the gap between what we are seeking and what they are offering is not much now, and we should be able to resolve them. Individual landlords are a bit of a different ball game. Some are very understanding, because I think I have realized one thing with individual landlords: what works is your personal equations, relationships, and it's no more about agreements and contracts, because they don't care. But I agree that most of the landlords understand that if somebody leaves, it will not be easy for them to get a replacement under the current market circumstances. And for us, what we are seeking is, please convert the fixed operating expense of rental into a variable revenue share model, so that if we do very well, you stand to gain. If we do very badly, we bleed less.
Now, Anurag, I wanted to spend some time on the focus of this conversation today. What do you think are the permanent or semi-permanent changes in the way consumers will interact with your entire business?
End of the day, I feel the responsibility now lies with us to make sure that we can draw that beautiful line between a consumer feeling secured in the environment and feeling scared in the environment, or feeling overwhelmed with the apparatus, because nobody wants to go out in and eat in a very stressed atmosphere. I had a friend from Delhi call me and say that she went to Khan market to eat, and some restaurant. She said, I did not enjoy it, because for me eating out is not only about topping my tummy. It is about the whole experience, the noise, the interaction, the energy, which was missing. So I think that is going to be one of the biggest challenges we have. And I think the answer to that problem lies in how soon do we find an antidote or a vaccine which works on people. Because end of the day, it is the mental scar. People are scared. And apart from that, I think the masks, the gloves, the sanitizers are going to be our permanent friends for fairly long time to come, which essentially, if you ask me, is not such a bad thing, especially the sanitizer, because our personal sanitization habits needed an upgrade, which has now fortunately come because of this one. On the other side, I think the biggest change that we will see is reduced menus in every restaurant. That's going to be a change which will, and two reasons for it. One is the number of people who can work in the kitchen will now get reduced because of the people distancing norms. And also, I think in order to save your wastages and all, restaurants will like to use lesser SKUs in the restaurants, which essentially means that I may not have 50 dishes that I used to have earlier, but I will have the top 30, which is not a bad thing.
Right.
Anyway, the top 30 probably contribute 90% of your sales. So that's another change I see. And I think, on a larger picture, Anand, we need a slew of what I call confidence building measures for consumers to come back to us. One thing is very certain: the kind of changes we saw in the security environment post 9/11 is what we will see in hygiene after this pandemic.
Right.
That is for sure. And I don't think life is going to be the same ever again, in a way. Certain segments will suffer more than others. For example, a lounge bar or a banquet will suffer more than, let's say, a QSR. But eventually everybody will suffer.
Right.
It'll be an all new world we'll wake up to in the post pandemic era.
Right. Anurag, you were talking about delivery being just 15% of the average bill.
Hmm.
Do you think 6 months from now that 15% will have gone to 30 or 35? And is it worth it for the restaurant business to push that up?
See, I mean, at the best, I look at delivery business as something which augments the revenues of a restaurant.
Right.
It can never be the mainstream. And I don't see it becoming 30-35%, because if that becomes 30-35%, it will not be on the strength of the growth in the delivery. It will be because of the decline in dine-in.
Right.
I don't see, because eating out is an experiential thing. When you go out to eat, it is not only about the best chicken that I'm eating. It's about where am I going, the environment, and lots of things around it. So I think from that perspective, a delivery can never become the mainstream for a restaurant. And if it so becomes, then I guess we restaurateurs will be better served to shut the restaurants and open some nondescript cloud kitchen somewhere and do only deliveries.
Right. So, you spoke about, every colony or neighborhood getting amateur chefs to get into the business. Is that a temporary thing? Is that a permanent thing?
I think it's a temporary thing. I think it's a temporary thing. It's more like, people are finding a hobby, and one of the easiest hobby in a confined environment of your house is perhaps cooking. Is therapeutic to some, and perhaps for some people it is a nice way of remaining active on the social media.
Fantastic. Anyway, I hope that's true, and we start eating better food. And in a short while, I hope I can go back to Indigo and enjoy the experience of the breakfast, which I've loved for years. So thank you so
Oh,
much.
thank you so much. Thank you so much, Anand, for talking to me. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
And that was Anurag Katriar telling us how the pandemic has impacted the restaurant and hotel industry. Let's take a look at the Mel cheat sheet. Currently, restaurants are operating at 25 to 30% of the levels witnessed before the lockdown. Changing consumer behavior can have long-lasting impacts on the food industry. Post-lockdown, restaurants are likely to see a reduced menu to streamline operations. The safety and well-being of customers should be a top priority for restaurants. On that note, let's move on to creative picks, and this week we are focusing on ads by food and beverage brands that will release post the lockdown. Let's get started. First up, we have Nestle India celebrating homegrown masalas in a new Maggie special Masala Noodles TVC. The campaign takes us on a journey showcasing a wide variety of spices that can be found across India. The ad not only inspires an appetite for Maggie noodles, but also tells us that the product contains familiar desi ingredients. Now more than ever, Maggie is the comfort food for many more people. The commercial manages to capture the essence of the idea behind the product, giving us yet another reason to stock up packets of Maggie noodles. Take a look.
जितने स्पेशल हमारे देश के मसाले हैं, उतने ही स्पेशल उनके किस्से हैं। वो मिट्टी की खुशबू जो देश को महका जाती है, या तीखे तेवर वाली वो मिर्च जो इन गलियारों में पाई जाती है, वो हल्दी जो सजाती है हमारी खुशियों की रंगोली, या वो लाड़ प्यार जिससे दादी भर देती हैं झोली। हर वो चीज जो बनाती है अपने देश को स्पेशल, वही मिलके बनाती है मैगी स्पेशल मसाला, जो आपकी मैगी पे डल के लाता है वो रंग, वो महक, वो स्वाद कि आप बोलें
स्पेशल
स्पेशल
स्पेशल।
तो चलो कुछ अच्छा पकाएं, आओ मैगी बनाएं।
Nestle, good food, good life.
Burger King India released an ad featuring actor Rahul Bose, reintroducing its range of rice bowls at just 99 rupees. In a cheeky manner, the fast food restaurant offers free bananas to the actor who had created a storm with his tweet on being exorbitantly charged for 2 bananas at a hotel last year. In the ad, Burger King India acknowledges that it is an old joke but is also an old price, emphasizing how affordable the rice bowls are. It is a smart way to stay relevant amid the pandemic, offering value for money to customers. Despite the new normal and the new way of life, some things are still available at an old price. This one's refreshing. Take a look.
Thank you. So this is the paneer rice bowl, right? This is really tasty. What's the price of this? What? This is 99 bucks? It's good value. I mean, I couldn't even finish this much. What is this? Nice one. Well played.
Next, we have an ad by Nescafe India that looks to spread optimism as the country continues to deal with the COVID-19 pandemic. The spot features Nescafe as a companion in the journey towards the new normal. The brand is presented as a friend that motivates and supports people while they go about restarting their lives in the evolving reality. The ad is full of optimism and will resonate with a lot of people.
Day 108.
रात लंबी सही, पर करने से ही होगी सुबह नहीं।
किसने कहा ये होगा आसान, लेनी है तमन्नाओं ने फिर से उड़ान।
करने से ही खुलेगा एम्बिशन का शटर, हाथ में आएगी सपनों की डोर।
फिर कोशिश का हाथ थाम कर आसमां का होना है।
लौट के आएगी गलियों में सनशाइन, पकेंगे आइडियाज लाइक नेवर बिफोर।
Oh, happy news today, guys! आ गए
एक नई
flamingos.
शुरुआत का बीज तुझको फिर से बोना है। करने से ही होना है, 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 करने से ही होना है।
किसने कहा ये होगा आसान? जोश को आंच पर चढ़ाना है, उम्मीदों वाला कप उठाना है और एक घूंट लेकर फिर से शुरू हो जाना है।
Class, let's go.
जो सोया वो खोया, जो जागा वो सोना है। उम्मीदों का घर है, हासिलों का कोना कोना है, करने से ही होना है। नेस्कैफे।
And finally, we have a new KitKat commercial featuring Ayushmann Khurrana as an accounts professor taking his class online. He tries to win over his students by cracking a few silly jokes which they ignore. He then decides to take a break with KitKat and returns with a fresh idea which works wonders. Taking a break is synonymous with KitKat. The chocolate brand has been encouraging the importance of a little break even before the lockdown. But it seems relevant more than ever before today. This one's fun and entertaining. Check it out.
You know guys, ये मेरी पहली क्लास है आपके साथ। Accounts is a very interesting subject क्योंकि इसमें interest होता है। It could also get very taxing. Let's have a break, guys. Jokes aside, पहले बताओ ये किसने फेंका? किसने फेंका? लाइफ है, ब्रेक बनता है।
Nestle. Good food, good life.
With that, it's a wrap on this episode of Melt. To follow us on social media, our handle is Ready to Melt. You can also stay informed on what's happening in the world of advertising and marketing with our daily Melt update on our website, readytomelt.com. And I'll see you next week, same time, same place. Goodbye.